In the former Pirates Cove of Clearwater on Florida's Gulf Coast, any visitor quickly realizes who is fighting for power today. Scientologists dominate the downtown area. In Clearwater, they have come one step closer to their dream of having their own Scientology city. Out of 100,000 inhabitants, about 6,000 belong to the sect. Additionally, Scientologists from around the world are making their pilgrimage to a former luxury hotel, where they pay thousands of dollars for courses that promise higher degrees of initiation. The Fort Harrison is their religious center. Anyone who approaches it is watched. The sect's security service follows our camera team everywhere. Scientology's security men report every enemy movement to command headquarters. And this morning, the security guards would be even more nervous than usual if they knew who was headed straight for Clearwater. The man whom the Scientology leadership perhaps fears the most. Bob Minton, a multi-millionaire banker who is waging a war against the sect. The crusader is tense.
A little bit, yes. It's a little bit Lion's Den type thing. You know, there are a lot of ex-Scientologists who have said to me, you know, whatever you do, don't go in the Fort Harrison Hotel. You know, some incident will be staged. You'll be accused of attacking someone from the Church of Scientology. You know, be careful, because they're out to get you. You're not paranoid. They are, in fact, out to get you.
Bob Minton is bringing the battle to Clearwater, the heart of Scientology, because he believes in democracy American style. Don't wait for the government to act. Do it yourself. Minton has never been a member of the sect. The 51-year-old computer buff launched his crusade when Scientologists tried to silence critics on the internet.
You can see that they've mobilized a lot of resources, human resources, in order to keep an eye on us, so they obviously are somewhat concerned by it.
The spokesman for Scientology in Clearwater, Brian Anderson, immediately launches a counterattack.
Bob Minton spending money to fuel attacks against the church would be like a Nazi funding money to some anti-Jewish organization. I mean, to stir up trouble and to give, when you give money to somebody to attack a minority religion, then that's an evil.
Bob Minton believes the evil is on the other side of the street.
There were an awful lot of people who had an incredible amount of pain inflicted on their lives by having been involved in this organization, the Church of Scientology. And one of the terrible things about their involvement is that once they were out and tried to speak out against the church really tried to destroy these people, either through driving them into financial ruin or excessive litigation. And, you know, I wanted to try to level the playing field so these people had a chance to fight back.
And Bob Minton has the funds to do it.
How much of your own money have you spent so far in this war?
So far, $1.4 million.
1.4?
Yes, and I've got another couple of $100,000 that I've committed, and, you know, if necessary, I'll do more.
2,500 miles from Clearwater, Bob Minton bought a secluded house on this island for two former members of Scientology. Their old neighborhood was besieged by pro-Scientology demonstrators. A $300,000 refuge.
Yeah, and then you went and got the kitty. Yeah.
Even here, Stacy Young no longer feels safe. Recently, neighbors received anonymous warnings. The cats kept in Young's kennels are carriers of infectious diseases.
It got so bad, finally, that one night 2 women showed up at our door from the mental health department to commit me, because they had received anonymous calls that I was crazy and that I was collecting diseased cats, a sure sign of insanity. And they were very surprised when they actually met me and had a chance to talk to me, and I explained to them what was actually going on with the Scientologists, what they were trying to do. Bob Minton called that he would like to help us. He saved our life, really. I mean, he came to our rescue at a time in our life when we really desperately needed help.
Dianetics.
Commercials airing across the country sell Scientology as a religious philosophy. The sect's expensive courses promise to solve life's problems, to boost confidence, and to create a better world. In the U.S., stars like John Travolta openly declare themselves to be followers of Scientology and help promote the product.
So many people have this whole thing wrong, right? That this book, finally, after all these years, explains everything. And it answers questions both positive and negative. It just sets the record straight. And I've been looking for this book personally for a long time.
Scientology was conceived by science fiction writer Ron Hubbard.
Scientology is for an able guy like you.
The late author created its doctrine by taking elements of traditional religions and generously mixing them with psychoanalysis and science fiction.
The man that should be helped, that's the man you should help out, because that fellow is having a hard time.
German courts have ruled the sect seeks primarily to make money. But in the U.S., Scientology is recognized as a religion. This is why Scientologist Sabina Haag moved to Clearwater with her 4 children from a village near Stuttgart. We are not permitted to film a Scientology church service, but we are granted an interview in the administrative center. I used to live in a village of 1,500 inhabitants. The people used to jump out of my way left and right as if I had leprosy, because it was known that I was a Scientologist. My children were beaten up on the way home from school every single day. They had no friends. We have our Sunday services here. We have weddings. When someone dies, we have counseling. We have baptisms. We have everything a normal church has, only we enjoy it more. The 45-year-old Ron Hubbard devotee professes not to know that former members are harassed by her church. I know with absolute certainty that if you want to leave the church, nobody will prevent you from doing so. Scientology teaches you to be free, and freedom means self-determination. It would be completely against the teachings if someone would prevent you from leaving. But that is, in fact, what happened in the Fort Harrison Hotel, according to reports by former Scientologists. And this is why Bob Minton is demonstrating in front of the so-called religious headquarters. After talking to former sect members from around the country, Minton is convinced.
And there's a very long list of cult victims from Scientology who have been harmed immeasurably during their stay at this hotel.
One was a 36-year-old woman who suffered a slow death here at the Fort Harrison Hotel. Over a 2-year period, Lisa McPherson spent $97,000, almost half her salary, on courses taught by the sect. A year later, in 1995, during a special ceremony, she reached what is known in the church as the clear status, which promises inner peace and happiness. Just 2 months later, Lisa had a minor car accident, and after an ambulance arrived, she suddenly ran down the road, stripped off her clothes, and said, "I need help." Paramedics took her to the hospital for observation. Several Scientologists suddenly appeared and persuaded her to return to the Fort Harrison. What happened then is still unclear, but the Scientologists who were assigned to watch Lisa noted down all the details while her condition rapidly deteriorated. Tried to feed her again, but wouldn't take any food. Needs 2 liters fluid when awake. She has scratches and abrasions all over her body. After 17 days, the Scientologists finally decided to take Lisa to a hospital. But the driver bypassed the closest hospital and didn't even stop at the next one or the one after that either. Instead, the Scientologists drove for 45 minutes to Newport Richey Hospital, where the emergency room doctor was a Scientologist. Too late for Lisa McPherson. She was dead on arrival, emaciated and almost completely dehydrated. The state attorney in Clearwater will soon decide whether or not to prosecute the Scientologists.